Good morning and welcome, folks. If you could please take your seats. Please take your seats. We're going to begin in a few moments here. What's that? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The graduation ceremony for the 37th State Game Warden Cadet class will begin. Please rise for the posting of the colors by the Pennsylvania Game Commission Ceremonial Unit. Please be seated. Thank you. Along with the national and state colors posted here today, you will see the 37th class flag posted, the flags of the graduating classes that have gone before them. Each flag is unique, and its significance to the members of the class is reflected in its design. This class follows in the footsteps of men and women who have protected the wildlife resource of this Commonwealth for over a century. These flags are displayed in the auditorium to honor those who have graduated before them. Now entering the auditorium is the 37th class flag being carried by Cadet Jared Marska. The 37th class enrolled in March 2025 and will graduate 24 officers today. Now we dedicate their flag. I would like to now recognize the men and women attending in person and at home across our Commonwealth that have answered the call to become game wardens. They carry on the legacy of those that have served before them. Today, we welcome the cadets of the 37th class to our ranks, bringing the total graduates of the school to 824 since the first class enrolled in 1936. Resident instructor Sheldon Helm will call the 37th class.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to present the 37th class of the Leffler School of Conservation. Cadets, report for duty.
Please rise for our national anthem performed by State Game Warden Sergeant Matthew Kramer, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation.
Right, base. Present, arms. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the brave? Order, arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Present. Up! I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. Up! Left, face.
Please remain standing for the invocation by Cadet Etienne Nunemaker.
Uncover. 2.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today in celebration and in gratitude for the work you have done here in me and my fellow cadets, my brothers and sisters who you have strengthened, encouraged, and challenged over these past 44 weeks. Thank you for the men and women who have gone before us, whose shoulders we stand on today, and for the standard that they have established through devotion and sacrifice. We pray for those that will come after us, that you would provide them the same strength and perseverance that you have given to us, and that they too would uphold our mission to protect that which you have created. I am reminded of your word as it is written in Genesis. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." Let us not take this responsibility lightly, but remember to honor your creation and acknowledge you as the Creator. Lord, it is by your grace and your hand in our lives that we stand here today. We thank you for every mile we ran, every fear we overcame, and every trial we faced, both physically and in our minds. For it was in those times that you empowered us to develop the skills and the determination needed to succeed. Thank you for the wisdom and experience with which you have blessed our instructors. We recognize their investment in us and the sacrifices they made in their own lives to ensure that we were held to the same standard as our predecessors. We thank you for the undivided support of our loved ones at home who patiently pushed us further towards our goal and offered encouragement in the face of trials. We ask for your continued protection over them and that we might honor them with our integrity, hard work, and faithfulness both in this job and at home. Finally, God, we ask for your protection over these wardens and for the wardens who are already in the field. Watch over them and give them guidance, protect their families and friends, and offer them strength in the face of hardships. We ask all of this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please be seated.
Ready. Seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Major Kyle Jury. I'm the Director of Training, and I welcome you to the graduation of the 37th class of the Ross Leffler School of Conservation. At this time, I'd like to take a moment here to introduce agency staff and special guests that we have in attendance. I will ask that each rise briefly as they are introduced. From the Pennsylvania Game Commission Board of Commissioners, Vice President of the Commission, Commissioner Alan DeMarco. Secretary of the Commission, Commissioner Robert Schwalm. And Commissioner Stanley Kinnick, Jr. From our Executive Office, Game Commission Executive Director Stephen Smith. Deputy Executive Director of Field Operations Dave Mitchell. And Deputy Executive Director for Administrative Operations, Kelly O'Donnell. Our training school staff, Assistant Director of Training, Captain Scott Frederick. Training Officer, Captain Kevin Anderson. Our resident instructors for the 37th class, State Game Warden TJ Kanash, State Game Warden Ryan Zawada, State Game Warden Scott Brookins, State Game Warden Sheldon Helm, State Game Warden Stephen Wingenbach, State Game Warden Justin Beltowski, State Game Warden Richard Lee, and State Game Warden Brooke Hargenrader. Our additional training school staff, Gary Mathias and Heidi Alexander. Director of the Bureau of Marketing and Strategic Communications, Matthew Moret. Our region directors in attendance, Director from the Northwest Region, Jesse Bish. Director of the Southwest Region, Jason Farball. Director from the North Central Region, Mark Turnett. Director of the South Central Region, Seth Masouris. Director of the Northeast Region, Michael Boehm. And Director of the Southeast Region, Peter Sussenbach. Our special guests, Senator James Malone, and the parents of fallen officer David Grove, Dana and Lucy Grove. Thank you. A critical part of a cadet's training is field assignment. For 10 weeks, each of these cadets moved around the state to work with 3 different state game wardens who served as field training officers. I'd like to recognize all of those who have served as field training officers for the 37th cadet class and thank them for their dedication to training our future wardens. If that applies to you, please stand. Thank you. The curriculum at the school is taught by nearly 200 various instructors, all well qualified in their subjects of instruction. I'd like to recognize all of those who served as field training, all of those who served as instructors for the 37th class. Please rise if that applies to you. Thank you. Today is a very special day for these cadets, their families, and the agency. The men and women seated before you have endured much. The path to get here began in January 2024 when these positions were announced. After a year-long hiring process, they each earned a seat in the 37th class with the goal of becoming a Pennsylvania State Game Warden. Nearly a year has passed since this class reported to the school. They have succeeded in achieving their goal, and we are here today to acknowledge their success and the start of their careers as state game wardens. In reaching this goal, they have demonstrated the values, skills, knowledge, resolve, and confidence required to serve the agency, the citizens of the Commonwealth, and the wildlife of Pennsylvania. The family and friends of these cadets have supported them throughout this time. They too share in the success and pride of this day. It is now my pleasure to call upon Pennsylvania Game Commission Executive Director, Mr. Stephen Smith.
Thank you, Major Jury, and good morning. Thanks to everyone who was able to join us here today for this special occasion. Cadets, congratulations on reaching the stage. As Major Jury said, this process for you started over 2 years ago with over 1,000 applicants vying for a seat on the stage here this morning. Now, 2 years later, it's 24 of you, just moments from the finish line. And along that way, undoubtedly, you developed and demonstrated qualities like discipline and commitment. Those are going to serve you well in every aspect of your personal and professional lives. During your time at the Ross Leffler School of Conservation, I'm sure you noticed the strong sense of history and purpose that runs through that side of the building. It's why it's one of my favorite parts of headquarters, because that history can't be told often enough. More than a century ago, Pennsylvania's wildlife were decimated largely due to unregulated market hunting that impacted some of our most iconic species like deer, turkey, bear, and elk. the General Assembly responded by creating the Pennsylvania Game Commission and enacting laws to protect wildlife. But laws without enforcement are meaningless, and that's where game wardens came in. Those early wardens faced incredible challenges. They were threatened and attacked, they worked alone, they covered massive territories, and they enforced new laws that were, at times, deeply unpopular. Yet, because they held the line, wildlife returned. Not by accident, but because of enforcement. Today, you are stepping into their shoes, and you are inheriting both their legacy and the legacy forged by every game warden who has served since then. The challenges that you're going to face in your career will be unique to this moment in time, but your importance to conservation remains unchanged over 100 years later. When declining hunting participation means fewer eyes in the woods, and poachers feel emboldened to steal our wildlife resources, we will need you to protect that which cannot protect itself. As wildlife diseases spread and we enact laws and regulations to safeguard both wildlife and humans, we'll rely on you to enforce and explain those laws with professionalism and good judgment. And as society becomes increasingly removed from the natural world, your role as both the face of this agency and the voice of conservation in your district is going to grow more and more important. Through it all, never lose sight of why you chose this career: to serve the people of our great Commonwealth and to protect our wildlife resources. As you prepare to serve, I want to thank you on behalf of our agency. Thank you for your commitment and sacrifice. Thank you for stepping up and answering the call. And thank you for dedicating yourself to this profession. Today, you're going to earn more than a badge and a title. You're going to accept a responsibility and an obligation to carry on a legacy built by those who came before you. May you serve with honor, integrity, and pride. Congratulations.
Thank you, Director Smith. The class speaker was chosen by his own classmates to represent the class, so you can well appreciate that this is an honor for the cadet that's selected. It is my pleasure to introduce Cadet Joseph DeAndre, representing the 37th class.
Good morning, everyone. I have to start the speech off with a request of my own that you bear with me. Murphy's Law kind of struck a couple days ago and I lost my voice, but we're going to adapt and overcome, and as we have done in the last 44 weeks, and I'm going to continue on. I was actually tied with this role with Cadet Tanner for the class speaker, and I said to him a couple days ago that he might have to step up and give the speech, and his exact words to me were, "You got this, buddy." So we're going to forge on here. It is a tremendous honor to be speaking with all of you here today. As some of you are aware, and Deputy Director just alluded to, this is the oldest conservation law enforcement academy in the nation. It was the first one in the nation. And over the years, it has continued to evolve, to adapt to a changing and demanding game warden position. I'm proud to be up here speaking on behalf of the 37th class here today. And we have had an absolutely incredible journey these last 44 weeks. And I will do my best to let everybody know our appreciation and our excitement for the job as we get into it. Although I've never met most of you, I actually feel as though I've gotten to know you through your loved ones up here today. As much as these 44 weeks have been a struggle for us, it has also been for all of you as well. And as we take a moment here and revel in our success at finishing up this academy, I'm happy to be joined by all of you because it is truly your moment as well as ours. The support and understanding that you have shown throughout this entire training has helped all of us reach this goal here today. A special shout out to all the wives and the children in attendance whose sacrifice never went underappreciated or unnoticed by anybody up here. I had the pleasure of meeting most of the wives, the girlfriends, the fiancés at the class dinner, as well as Cadet Lucas's brother, who tagged along. And it was a pleasure to get to know you because this truly is us and you as well. So thank all of you for that support. I would also like to take a moment in that vein to touch on something very important to me as well, and that is there's many loved ones that can't be with us here today and aren't with us here today. I know personally for me it's my father, and I know many cadets as well have experienced that and have experienced it here at the academy. But I know they're looking down here on us with joy today and celebrating in our success. And I'll be honest with all of you, when I sat down to write this speech, I realized I may have underestimated it a bit. It's incredibly difficult to distill down the last 44 weeks into a 10-minute speech. I was wondering exactly what I would talk to you all about. I was wondering if I would go into detail about the varied and interesting trainings that we got into, or the creative punishments administered by the resident instructors, or my roommate, shining his boots at 1 a.m., which was a frequent occurrence, or talking about getting OC sprayed or tased, which is saved for posterity on video, by the way. If any of you didn't know, everybody's tasing and pepper sprays on video, if you would like to see that. But I think the best thing that sums up how we all feel after 44 weeks is gratitude. And I'm not just saying gratitude for being done, although that is very nice to be finally at the finish line, but gratitude to be able to serve the people of this Commonwealth and as a state game warden. As many of my fellow cadets have probably impressed on you with their war stories from field training, there really is nothing quite like being a state game warden. From helping an injured bald eagle to arresting poachers to giving a presentation to young children at an elementary school, each day just brings us new challenges and rewards as well. To the staff and instructors at RLSC, it would be stating the obvious that you molded us into what we are today, but I'm going to get into it anyway. Whether it was Major Jury's rigorous law sessions, a range day with Captain Frederick, defensive tactics with Captain Anderson, or a not-so-PG rated special permit class with Captain Eiler, all of your unique styles and knowledge have left a lasting impression on us. The passion you have for this agency and for our success was on display every single day. We also pity the next class that may miss out on Captain Eiler's stories or Captain Frederick's one-liners should they move into a well-deserved retirement. And to all the other bureaus within the Pennsylvania Game Commission who helped us along the way, we thank you for your support and your continued support as we go out into the field. I'm confident that we will make good on all the long hours you have poured into us. And a note on the training in general, I remember I was actually speaking with Warden Wingenbach right before field training, and I was expressing my trepidations for going out into the field for the first time, and he said, you'll be amazed that it'll just snap back to you. And while on field training, I had a traffic stop. And if you ask Captain Anderson if he was there that night, he would probably look at you funny and say he was miles away. But I guarantee you he was right over my shoulder, showing me exactly what I needed to do in that moment. And I think that's a testament to the quality of the training and the instructors here at RLSC. It just all snaps back into place when you need it. Something else that stuck through me at my time in the academy, and I know many of my other fellow cadets have mentioned it, was the cooperation with other law enforcement agencies. And I would like to take a moment to recognize them as well. We had a lot of training with outside law enforcement, whether it was an ice rescue class with Fish and Boat Commission, a law class with the Pennsylvania State Police, or cooperation with a local municipality on field training. All of these experiences enriched the training here at the Ross Leffler School of Conservation. The lack of ego and genuine desire to help was on display, and I know we as a class will strive to be as helpful as you were to us, to other law enforcement as well. A special word to our resident instructors as well. For those that don't know, the resident instructors stay with us at the academy, and they live with us, and they are kind of our day-to-day guides through the academy. And for this section of my speech, actually, when Warden Hargenrader was going over it, I'm going to have to get her a new red pen for Christmas because there was a lot crossed out in this section. So I'll stick to all the good stuff that was here. Each of you brought us perspectives that shaped by your own unique experiences in the field, and the incredible amount of sacrifice that all of you showed to uproot your lives and come here to train us cannot be overstated. Whether it was late night trainings or it was meals talking to class leadership, I know all of us took something from each of you that will make us better wardens in the field, and it really cannot be expressed enough just how much we appreciate all of you, again, uprooting your lives and coming here to train us. And now I'll take a moment to recognize the entire class here at Ross Leffler. It has definitely been a wild ride over the past 44 weeks, but it is an honor to call myself a part of the 37th class of the Ross Leffler School of Conservation. As Major Jury told us in the first week, you have a better shot of playing in the NFL than you do at walking across this stage. Despite our days being mostly lived at a frenetic pace, I feel I've gotten to know all of you over these past 44 weeks. Whether it was on state tour, the NOEA Wildlife Conference, or our brief reprieves on Wednesday nights, we have afforded me the opportunity to forge lasting friendships. There's no greater bond than shared hardships, and although we are headed to different corners of this Commonwealth, I know we have made lasting friendships along the way. And although all of our hardships have been personal and different, the result has been the same, and that's 24 wardens that are ready to take the field before you. As we close this chapter and become part of this academy's long and proud history, I know everyone on this stage will continue the great legacy out into the field. And I just want to take a moment kind of to discuss something that Cadet Nunemaker mentioned in his invocation, but it was something that Captain Frederick mentioned to us on one of our first days there. And he mentioned Genesis 2:15, which was essentially God placing man in the Garden of Eden to protect it. And that always gives me chills because that is truly game wardens, and I know we as a class are excited to get out there and start protecting. Thank you.
Now, I would like to call on our commencement speaker to address the class. It is my pleasure to introduce Colonel Richard Danley.
Good morning, everyone. Got to get my speech out of my jacket here. I am Richard Danley, the Colonel of the Pennsylvania Game Commission, and it is clearly and proudly my honor to address you today. If you can't hear me, tell me to speak up. Welcome, commissioners, staff, and our soon-to-be commissioned cadets. I would also like to welcome and acknowledge our partners in law enforcement and thank them for attending. Thank you guys for being here. But most especially, I'd like to welcome the families and friends of our cadets. Thank you. Thank you for allowing them to take this step to become a Pennsylvania game warden. Your loved one has been away from home, assigned to far-reaching corners of the Commonwealth for 44 weeks. This could not have been possible to accomplish without your support. While your cadet was learning the Game and Wildlife Code, how to effectively qualify with firearms, as they learned how to operate a patrol vehicle, and all the nuances of Pennsylvania wildlife and wildlife management, yards still needed to be mowed. Children needed to get to school and appointments, and unfortunately, snow needed to be shoveled. It was all of you that carried this weight while we formed your cadet into a Pennsylvania game warden. Thank you for that opportunity, and welcome to the graduation of the 37th class of the Ross Leffler School of Conservation. Soon to be game wardens, you have successfully graduated from the finest conservation law enforcement program in the United States. Let that sink in. No other institution has been training game wardens longer than RLSC. No one has done it better. As you take the reins of your new districts, it's important to remember that only 800 men and women have ever walked the same path you have just now completed. The expectations we set for you were extremely high, and you all rose to the challenge. Congratulations. Later today, each of you will have a state game warden badge presented to you. Upon accepting this badge, you accept the role of honor. The uniform you are now wearing comes with immense responsibility. How you act, how you carry yourself, your personal actions, they are no longer yours alone. Everything you do from this day forward will forever be associated with the Pennsylvania Game Commission and all of us who also have worn this uniform. Like you, I share this uniform. Your actions reflect upon me and every one of the state game wardens. Remember this: how you conduct yourselves personally reflects on all of us professionally. The journey each of you have just begun will grant the privilege of seeing places in our state that the vast majority of people don't get to see. As you stand on a ridgetop, looking out across your district, recognize that the citizens of Pennsylvania have entrusted you to be the guardians of everything wild. Each of you will be blessed with experiences few others will ever know. Returning an injured eagle back to the skies, or relocating a family of mischievous bears, always keep it in perspective. Being a game warden is so much more than what you can currently conceptualize. When you look into the eyes of a senior brother or sister warden, you will recognize this, as they too have experienced the gifts that this job provides. Today marks a milestone for each of you. It is a moment that marks the end of one demanding journey and the beginning of a lifelong commitment to service, conservation, and duty. Graduates, you stand here today as the culmination of tradition, sacrifice, and excellence that began long before any of us were born. Today, as you graduate, you'll become part of a rare lineage, a lineage defined by discipline, integrity, and an unwavering sense of responsibility. And today, that lineage grows by 24. You endured 44 weeks at the Ross Leffler School of Conservation, weeks filled with physical exhaustion, mental challenge, academic rigor, and constant evaluation. You arrive with ambition. You leave with purpose. You arrived seeking a career. You leave accepting a calling. A calling to protect wildlife not because it's convenient, but because it's essential. A calling to enforce laws not for authority, but for stewardship. A calling to serve the people of Pennsylvania even when the work is unseen, difficult, or dangerous. The badge you will wear is not a symbol of power. It is a symbol of public trust. Trust placed in you by the Commonwealth. Trust placed in you by generations before you who understood that conservation is not accidental. It is deliberate. It requires vigilance, it requires courage, and above all, it requires people willing to stand between what is right and what is threatened, protecting that which cannot protect itself. Take a moment to soak this in. Recognize the incredible expectations set for each of you. Let them burn deep within your core. Then call on them when you're challenged. When you are met with harsh conditions from the weather to the public, there will be days when this job is thankless, days when decisions are difficult and outcomes imperfect. On those days, remember why you started. Remember this ceremony. Remember the legacy you are now a part of. When I was in your place 26 years or so ago, One of the many wise instructors that we had come to the class gave us this little bit of wisdom, and I'm not sure if you've heard it, you probably have. It isn't the animals that are a problem, it's the people. That is so true, and that mantra has served me well throughout my career, and I offer it to you now. One of the most important aspects of your career is the role you will serve as a mediator. You'll be called upon to settle disputes, from landowner property issues or well-intended people who try to save wildlife but inadvertently expose an entire neighborhood to rabies. You will be forced into that role. You will have dealings with folks that violated the law, sometimes inadvertently. How you treat them will serve you throughout your career. You will be remembered more for how you treat people than how many citations you write. The respect you show others will be reflected back at you. Yet, you will still have interactions with people that cannot be satiated, no matter the amount of empathy, understanding, or grace you provide. When this time comes, and it will, it is at that point that you must do what is right for wildlife. For if you do not, there is no one else who will. Each of you holds the enormous responsibility of being the guardians of wildlife. This is a righteous job. I told you that yesterday. As you learn to apply your skills, as your career progresses, again, treat everyone with respect and empathy. When I was a young man pondering my career path, I, like you, thought how exciting and interesting your chosen profession might be. The idea of working outdoors, investigating poachers, handling wildlife, they were all extremely appealing to a kid raised in a hunting family. Yet it's a lesson my mother taught me that carried through my formative years, and it's still with me today. You see, her family was very poor. She lived in rural Huntington County in a small house on a single income. They were proud poor. They didn't have a lot, but what they did have was well maintained, given the respect owed to things owned. Government assistance was not as valuable then as it is today. As I began the process of becoming a game warden, she said to me, "Remember, Rod, if we didn't harvest a deer or turkeys or rabbits, we often didn't have meat for the winter. Always consider this when you must arrest someone." And I always have. Families such as my mother's still exist today. I do not convey this story for you to shirk your duties. This is not a cautionary tale. Rather, it is a point to consider each and every time you take enforcement action upon someone. Will citations be issued? Of course. This is what you're trained to do. It's what we expect. Yet, this does not mean that you couldn't remember later when you have a crop kill or seized deer that maybe that family could use it. I assure you they can. And when you are dropping the deer off, ignore the piercing stares and any barbed comments, and know that what you did matters and it is the right thing to do. When you leave here today, know that each of you are as prepared as possible to face the challenges ahead. You will see people on their best days when a child harvests his or her first deer. You will be there when others are having their worst, when a family member negligently hurts another family member while hunting. Remember your training, identify resources and utilize them, form relationships in your districts, represent us positively. Graduates, the Pennsylvania Game Commission's book of history still lies open, and you, here now, are the hand that holds the pen. Congratulations and welcome to the family.
Thank you, Colonel. All of the officers in this room have taken an oath to protect and defend the people and wildlife of this Commonwealth. Since the agency was established in 1895, 10 officers of the Pennsylvania Game Commission have lost their lives in the performance of these duties. Now, entering the auditorium is the fallen officer flag carried by State Game Warden Sergeant Salvador Zafuto and guarded by State Game Warden Sergeant Timothy Wenritt. This flag was designed by the members of the 27th class and was created to honor these officers who died in the line of duty. Seeley Hauk, end of watch, March 2nd, 1906, Lawrence County. Deputy Charles Beecham, end of watch, November 4th, 1906, Lackawanna County. Joseph McHugh, end of watch, November 7th, 1915, Carbon County. Joseph Kalbfus, end of watch, August 10th, 1919, Warren County. Elias Woody Kelly, end of watch, August 10th, 1919, Warren County. Walter Middleton, end of watch, December 1st, 1935, Snyder County. John Ross, end of watch, July 18th, 1942, McKean County. Robert Zimmerman, end of watch, May 13th, 1957, Montour County. Woodrow Portsline, end of watch, October 24th, 1973, Butler County. David Grove, end of watch, November 11th, 2010, Adams County. Let us pause in a moment of quiet reflection for these men and their sacrifice. Let us never forget these men. In the first weeks of training, we talked about values and character traits. Traits such as integrity, courage, discipline, loyalty, diligence, humility, optimism, and conviction. These are not traits we are born with, but they are traits that result of individual choices we make throughout our lives. We also talked about taking an oath and the meaning of an oath. It is a personal, individual, and voluntary thing. It is a solemn promise to conduct yourself in a certain way, to build these character traits, to accept the burden of accountability, and be an example to others worth emulating. It is the foundation of our value system and trust between us and the people we serve. The badge we wear is a symbol of that trust. Back in September, the class took their oath of office when they were commissioned as Deputy State Game Wardens. Today, they will renew that oath as State Game Wardens. I call upon Pennsylvania Game Commission Executive Director Stephen Smith to administer the oath of office. Class, prepare to take your oath.
I,
Catherine Nealon. Samuel Pepper. Joseph DeAndre.
Kirsten Pugh.
Peter Lucas. Clayton Shaw.
Daniel Kennedy.
ATN Noonamaker.
Jesse Spiker. Wayne Clark III.
Jared Marska. Adam Feinhauer. Joshua Elchin.
David Kennedy.
Nathan Hazelton. Peter Hayden.
Rar McGee.
Brady Stumbaugh. Michael Shenaloff.
Aiden Ward.
Benjamin Conklin.
Joshua Kern.
Joshua Tanner. Kyle Norland.
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend
Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend
Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth. And that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. That I will not knowingly receive, directly or indirectly. Any money or other valuable thing. For the performance or non-performance. Of any act or duty pertaining to my office. Other than the compensation allowed by law.
Order. Art. Right. Face. Ready. Seat.
At this time, I would like to call Captain Kevin Anderson to announce the class awards.
Awards of excellence are given in several major areas of endeavor. The Academy Torch Award, presented to Joshua Tanner for exhibiting the highest professional standard of conduct, values, ideals, and demonstrated abilities as judged by his fellow cadets. EVOC Driving Award, presented to Adam Beinhauer for safe and exceptional police driving skills. Academic Achievement Award, presented to Catherine Nealon for achieving the highest overall grade average of 94.74%. Top Shooter Award, presented to Michael Shadilov for demonstrating the highest overall proficiency in firearms training. Physical Fitness Award, presented to David Kennedy for maintaining the highest standard in overall physical fitness.
Today I have the special honor to present one of these cadets, soon to be graduates, with a life-saving award because of their actions over the field assignment that I explained to you earlier. So at this time I would like to call Cadet David Kennedy to the front of the stage. I'd like to also recognize there were several other officers that were involved in this incident, which I'll briefly summarize. Those officers will be formally recognized at a later date and time. Those other officers were State Game Warden Zach Souls, Deputy State Game Warden Troy Lehman, and State Game Warden Zachary Salzgiver. On October 18th, 2025, Cadet David Kennedy was working with State Game Warden Zachary Salzgiver when they encountered an individual in a parking lot on State Game Lands 211 in Cold Springs Township, Lebanon County. The individual said that a friend who was through hiking the Appalachian Trail was experiencing a medical emergency and was to be in the area of Yellow Springs Trail on the State Game Lands. Cadet Kennedy and State Game Warden Salzgiver began to drive to the Yellow Springs Trailhead by utilizing a gated access road on the game lands, but experienced complications when they encountered a fallen tree that was blocking the road. Approximately 1 mile from the trailhead was the tree. The officers continued their response on foot and eventually reached the trailhead. Cadet Kennedy immediately began to search for the victim by ascending the steep and rocky terrain of the Yellow Springs Trail, eventually locating the victim 1 mile from the trailhead. Both officers began to develop a plan to extricate the victim from the woods after observing that the victim's condition was degrading. Cadet Kennedy and State Game Warden Salzgiver displayed great focus, physical ability, and determination, professionalism as they carried the victim down the trail towards awaiting medical personnel. Medical interventions immediately began once the condition of the victim was assessed, and through the assistance of Cadet Kennedy and State Game Warden Salzgiver, the victim was loaded onto a litter and carried the rest of the way down the mountain to an awaiting ATV that transported the victim to an ambulance more than 9 miles away. During this search and rescue operation, Cadet Kennedy displayed impeccable resilience in the face of adversity. His professionalism and commitment to service directly contributed to the safe and effective rescue of the victim from a remote and unforgiving area of State Game Lands 211. Today, we recognize the efforts of Cadet David Kennedy and present him with the agency's Life-Saving Award. His actions on October 18, 2025 reflect the values and the pledge to always help those in need. Captain Scott Frederick will call the class for the presentation of credentials.
First detail, attention. Right, face.
State Game Warden Catherine Nealon from Tioga County to Cumberland County. Her badge is presented by her mother, Colleen Nealon. State Game Warden Samuel Pepper from Lycoming County to Chester County. His badge is presented by his father, Toby Pepper. State Game Warden Joseph DeAndre from Rockland County, New York to Carbon County. His badge is presented by his uncle, James Hannigan. State Game Warden Kirsten Pugh from Franklin County to Fulton County. Her badge is presented by her father, retired State Game Warden Captain Travis Pugh. State Game Warden Peter Lucas from Washington County to Chester County. His badge is presented by his father, Steve Lucas. State Game Warden Clayton Shaw from Cumberland County to Juniata County. His badge is presented by his father, Craig Shaw. State Game Warden Daniel Kennedy from Beaver County to Allegheny County. His badge is presented by his wife, Lauren Kennedy. State Game Warden Etienne Nunemaker from Lackawanna County to Berks County. His badge is presented by his father, Stephen Nunemaker.
Left, face. Ready, seats. Second detail, attention. Right, face.
State Game Warden Peter Havens from Potter County to McKean County. His badge is presented by his wife, Naomi Havens. State Game Warden Nathan Hazelton from Lackawanna County to Lackawanna County. His badge is presented by his mother, Jackie Hazelton. State Game Warden David Kennedy from Lancaster County to Lancaster County. His badge is presented by his wife, Lindsay Kennedy. State Game Warden Joshua Elchin from Cambria County to Blair County. His badge is presented by his father, William Elchin. State Game Warden Adam Beinhauer from Washington County to Lancaster County. His badge is presented by his girlfriend, Heather Claudius. State Game Warden Jared Marska from Erie County to Butler County. His badge is presented by his fiancée, Madison Miller. State Game Warden Wade Clark III from Armstrong County to Bedford County. His badge is presented by his wife, Madison Tamiko. State Game Warden Jesse Spiker from Butler County to Allegheny County. His badge is presented by his uncle, Travis Beecham.
Left, face, ready, seats. Third detail, attention. Right, face.
State Game Warden Briar McGee from Montgomery County to Montgomery County. His badge is presented by his girlfriend, Beth Sands. State Game Warden Brady Stumball from Franklin County to Dauphin County. His badge is presented by his father, Rodney Stumball. State Game Warden Michael Shadaloff from Wayne County to Lackawanna County. His badge is presented by his wife and mother, Pia Henze and Natalia Shadalova. State Game Warden Aiden Ward from Henry County, Ohio to Somerset County. His badge is presented by State Game Warden Justin Beltowski. State Game Warden Benjamin Conklin from Monroe County to Carbon County. His badge is presented by State Game Warden Northeast Region Director Michael Beam. State Game Warden Joshua Kern from Blair County to Chester County. His badge is presented by his fiancée, Chloe Johnson. State Game Warden Joshua Tanner from McKean County to Allegheny County. His badge is presented by his girlfriend, Zoe Neal. State Game Warden Kyle Norling from Butler County to Forest County. His badge is presented by his uncle, Pennsylvania Game Commission Game Lands Maintenance Supervisor Rob Hall.
Third detail, left, face. Class, attention.
Resident Instructor T.J. Kanash will lead the class in the Game Warden Pledge.
Left, face. Raise right. I
am a Pennsylvania
without fear, favor, or prejudice. I will always conduct myself in a manner that honors my fellow officers, my agency, my state, and my country. I will be a positive influence in my community and will always help those in need. I will conquer the dangers I encounter and will consider no sacrifice too great in the performance of my duty. To this I pledge my sacred honor. I am a Pennsylvania Game Warden.
Order, arms. Right, face.
Please rise for the retrieving of the colors.
Right, face. Hey, and out. Out.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the 37th class of Pennsylvania State Game Wardens. would like to take a moment to thank all of our speakers for today, our special guests for their attendance today, and I would like to thank all of you in person and viewing at home for your attendance and support of these new wardens. That concludes our ceremony. I would like to remind the families that our marketing and communications folks have a backdrop set up in the lobby for any pictures that you may want to get with the recent graduates. Thank you all for attending. Travel safely.